Well, as I mentioned at the start of the show, I had planned the first 5 today to run some clips about the UN, President Trump's UN speech. I think I'm just going to summarize a few things that were so striking. He, in the UN this morning, talked about just started out by saying, in fact, the very first clip, Matt, the very wonderful, if we have it, the very first clip was Trump at the UN just talking about what he sees his job is as an American president defending this country.
Like those who met us before, our time is one of great contests, high stakes, and clear choices. The essential divide that runs all around the world and throughout history is once again thrown into stark relief. It is the divide between those whose thirst for control deludes them into thinking they are destined to rule over others, and those people and nations who want only to rule themselves. I have the immense privilege of addressing you today as the elected leader of a nation that prizes liberty, independence, and self-government above all. The United States, after having spent over $2.5 trillion since my election to completely rebuild our great military, is also by far the world's most powerful nation. Hopefully, it will never have to use this power. Americans know that in a world where others seek conquest and domination, our nation must be strong in wealth, in might, and in spirit. That is why the United States vigorously defends the traditions and customs that have made us who we are. Wise leaders always put the good of their own people and their own country first. The future does not belong to globalists. The future belongs to patriots. The future belongs to sovereign and independent nations who protect their citizens, respect their neighbors, and honor the differences that make each country special and unique. It is why we in the United States have embarked on an exciting program of national renewal. In everything we do, we are focused on empowering the dreams and aspirations of our citizens. Globalism exerted a religious pull over past leaders, causing them to ignore their own national interests. But as far as America is concerned, those days are over.
Okay, honest to goodness, that speech alone, you just want to stand up and say, I'm with him. Because, as I said earlier, talking with Judge Janine, you try to recall how President Obama sounded at the UN, this idea of pride in your nation. And he's not saying other nations shouldn't have pride in their nation. He said we all should. All of you should. Every nation is unique, and you honor your uniqueness. But he's willing to say America's great. This is why he won election. This is why he won his election in 2016 and why he will win in 2020 unless the Democrats somehow manage to get him out of office. Now, to be really clear, as I said earlier, the House is moving toward impeachment, it appears, and they can do that. There is no specific limitation in the Constitution. There's language in the Constitution, but it has yet to be defined by cases. So if they move toward impeachment, which they may or may not do, number one, there is no plan and there's no way there's going to be removal from office, which is what the Senate has to vote on. The United States Senate, and that's the way the Constitution set it up. The House moves, they can have an impeachment hearing, and they can move to impeach, and then the Senate would have to vote to remove. And the Senate is not going to do that. But having said that, I think that the Democrats are really doing is showing the American people that they don't agree with the sentiments President Trump just expressed. That's what they're telling America. We don't like America this strong. Everything Trump said in that speech today talked about the importance of borders. He talked about the danger posed by radical Islam, the threat of radical Islam through Iran in this world. He talked about China taking advantage of America and other countries for decades. He spoke of a strong, good America. That's what Americans want. And the Democrats in the House are either so tone deaf they can't figure that out, or they have just committed too many times to their uneducated base, their uninformed base, that they're somehow going to remove him, that they have to make good on their promise, even though, as I'm telling you as I'm sitting here, folks, Nancy Pelosi knows this is going to backfire big time. She knows it's a really bad move. Now, maybe she'll announce today that they're going to hold off a decision on impeachment until President Trump releases a conversation with Zelensky, which he says he'll do tomorrow. But I got to tell you, Trump wouldn't be releasing it if it were a problem. So Pelosi knows it's not a problem. These are just, very high stakes, very, very significant times in this country. And I do think it's a great opportunity for Americans to revisit the Constitution, to recognize how absurd the Democrats' mission is to remove President Trump. It's not about anything he's done. They thought they could remove him over this cooked up Russia-Trump collusion. They thought they could remove him. Well, it wasn't collusion, but it was obstruction, but there's nothing there. Nothing there with the collusion, nothing there with obstruction. They've tried everything, and they're at a desperate point. They feel like if they want to regain any ground with the people, they got to get this thing rolling. This Zelensky conversation fell in their lap, and they're jumping on it, but it will not fly. It may fly with the House Democrats. It will not fly in the court of public opinion in America. It will fall flat on its face. And I think Nancy Pelosi knows that. She just can't figure out how to convince her fellow Democrats to wise up and wake up and see that. So to be continued, we'll find out what happens on the Trump impeachment thing tomorrow.